We're here for Steve Hegman, a good friend of many musicians in town. We're celebrating his life. He recently passed away from a tragic accident, and he played with so many musicians in town and so many variety of things that we felt that after the shock of all this was over with and we could get our heads around this, that it was time to celebrate his life, and that's what we're doing tonight. So what we're going to do is give a little sampling of some of the different things that Steve was involved with. Now, if we were to try to do everything, we'd be performing a wedding up here, we'd be having Jackson Brown up here talking about the melodica he bought from Steve and all kinds of stuff. He was quite a guy. And what we picked out to do is a little bit of the ethnic music that Steve was involved with, and a little bit of the big band music that Steve was involved with, and a little bit of the wedding band variety music that Steve was involved with. And so we put a little bit of that together.
And watching the keyboard player and just imagining Steve being there in his place. And I could just see Steve with a huge smile on his face. And just he'd play and he'd be like this, and he just loved the music so much, and just he had so much joy for life.
In a way, it's a shame he's not at his own party here.
Absolutely.
But he is sort of in a way too.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's definitely here. His spirit's here, so. And everyone that loves him is here, and I'm sure it's just hard for everyone that's up on stage playing without him.
Steve really impacted me with the kayak because Steve would always talk about, man, go kayaking, man. You check it out. And I didn't have a kayak, and he built a kayak, a beautiful mahogany strips, and he put it together in his basement, and took him a whole winter to do it. And the thing only weighed 40 pounds, and just a beautiful piece. And so I went out and bought a kayak, and then after that, this was about 10 years ago, after that we spent a lot of fun times together over at Cedar Lake, Hidden Beach, Twin Lake, and we just hang out and drank beer and went swimming, and just we went kind of kayaking together on the St. Croix River a couple times. And Steve would reinvent himself, I think, every couple of years.
I think you're right, Jim.
He would become a minister. He'd get a certificate from the internet for $30, and he'd start doing weddings. My God, and I played a gig, violin, and I get to the gig, and there's Steve in his gown, his robe. I'd never seen him that way. I was kind of shocked in a way, but he did a good job. It was amazing. And then, 5 years later, he's an accordion player. And before that, 10 years before that, he picks up this melodica. Yeah. And then he calls me on the phone. I got this idea for a website, melodicas.com. You think I should get it? And I said, I don't know. I'm melodicas. Who's going to want to buy a melodica?
He did well with them.
But he sold a lot of melodicas, and his website was like a font of information about melodicas. There's interviews with Toots Thielemans about harmonica, and he sold melodicas to some major recording artists, Sadesky, Martin, and Wood. The keyboard player in that band, he sold a melodica to, and he had a testimonial on his website. Your melodica is the best. My melodica. He invented this thing. He was a real entrepreneur. All right, Steve would have been up here playing melodica of all things. And melodica, that most traditional of all Irish instruments.
Well, he definitely always was young at heart. And he was like a child. And I was like a child too in some ways, and we would go up north and we'd go for a walk in the dark. And he loved that because we walked, you know, down the road through the forest with no lights and no flashlights. And he just said, "No, I've never done this before with anyone. This is so cool." So I mean, we just enjoyed that. And he taught me to just always see things with a fresh eye. And
You can close your eyes and still see him, can't you? If he could hear you right now, what would you say to him?
I can't even talk. I would just tell him that I miss him. And I miss his smile. And he used to call me and he'd say cuckoo choo. Just like a silly thing, you know. And I just miss that. Just his smile, his just goofiness. So.
And we got another tune. We got lots more tunes coming up.
A lot of people have asked, what is this instrument up there on stage that maybe they haven't seen before, and we get this all the time.
It's called a guitar.
It's called a melodeon.
Mandolin.
Mandolin, excuse me. It's a multi-string instrument. But this instrument here is called a melodica. It's an instrument I invented based on the melodica. And it's a wood instrument, it's a free reed instrument. There's a reed for each note. And it's interesting because if you play notes on this, nothing will happen. And if you blow into this mouthpiece, again, nothing will happen. But if you blow into the mouthpiece and play the keyboard at the same time, you get Irish chords.
You got a beautiful sound.
This next song is a song called The Red-Haired Boy. How many red-haired people do we have out there? All right, we have 0. That's great. All right, we won't offend anyone. We're going to play this song for you. Yeah. Da, 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 da. the red-haired boy, followed by drowsy Maggie Reel, of course.